Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Crown Family School of Social Work Policy and Practice webinar for our doctoral programs, the PhD and the AM PhD. I'm Ron Martin, he, him, his, and I am the Director of Admissions. So I'm opening up the session today. Before we get started, I would just like to introduce a few of the Crown staff who are here joining us today. So from the admissions team, Aaliyah McKessie and Jamal Banks are Assistant Directors of Admission, as well as Emma Toomey, our admissions specialist. Running the session today, largely running the sessions will be Ashley Brown, the Assistant Dean of Students for Doctoral Programs, and Yoonsun Choi, our Program Director for the Doctoral Program. Session will be recorded, and also we will be in the chat, so please feel free to ask questions along the way, and we may also be stopping along the way to answer any of your questions live. With that, I'd like to introduce Yoonsun. Please take it away.
Sure. It's only 5:03 and we're already at me. So welcome everyone. Again, I am Yoonsun Choi, the director of the doctoral program, and happy to see you all here. Can we move on to the next slide? So first, let me start by saying what the goal and purpose of this program. We are a PhD program. There is some other program that's called DSW program, Doctorate in Social Work, that is more geared towards training advanced practitioner. I wanted to clarify that it's a PhD program at U of Chicago. It's really to educate and train future researchers, scholars, and educators, so professors. So wanted to make clear. We do value practice experience, so that will be a great addition to your application. But the really ultimate goal is to help you to develop research skills and education. And we have two programs. One is just a straight out PhD, especially those who have masters in social work or other related field. Some of you also wanted to have a master's before they start PhD. So we have a joint program called AM PhD program. I do wanted to tell you that program has very limited space. So if anything, just know that it has smaller number of acceptance rate. I mean, like a number, and then also very competitive process. So you might wonder what our graduates do after they finish the program. So it has become much more common for students to seek a postdoctoral experience after they graduate. So we have had several students that they went into the postdoc positions before they joined faculty, or as it shows that some become research scientists altogether. So postdoc research positions are sort of everywhere, but our students in recent years have gone to Johns Hopkins, NYU, Northwestern, and all the schools that's listed there. And I think one of the students who went to Harvard, for instance, as a postdoc, I think now is a researcher there. And of course, the bulk of students, our graduate, go to become professors in teaching and research universities. And we have a nice list of schools that our recent graduates have gone. And we probably need several pages if we list where they went after they graduated, if we look at the entire history of the school. And we also have research scientists, although students coming in, most of them wanting to become professors and scholars in academia, have some decided, maybe that's not my thing. I actually just wanted to focus straight on research. And we have our grads in Mathematica or American Institute for Research, Urban Institute, and others of the research position at different schools. So that has been also another pretty good, solid trajectory as well. And, this is just a very brief description of our program, and there's probably TMI, so I'm going to cut that and just to tell you that the average years of students completing the program is between 5 and 6 years. And the way it happens is the first 2 years the students are taking courses. And we do have like 15 course requirements the student need to take. At the end of the 2 years, students are taking qualifying exam, we call it. So there's a sort of exam at the end of the second year during the summer. And then students develop their proposal in their third year. And then sort of have their hearing, we call it a hearing, and have sort of the conversation with the faculty and other members. And then based on that proposal, then they develop their dissertation and complete. Along with those, students are also expected to gain experience in research as well as teaching. So the first 2 years, students typically engage in faculty research project. And this is sort of paid by the university. So the faculty really use this opportunity to work with the students, regardless of whether they have funding or not. And then year 3 and up, like for 3 years, we expect students to do sort of the TA-ship that you probably is familiar with. So they do it tend to be one a year for 3, 4th, and 5th year. And if you still are in the program, then you sort of are not expected as a requirement to work on 6th year, but most of the students have research assistantship and work in research projects with the faculty. So that's sort of the general overview of the program. And before students take the exam, they do have pre-dissertation research that we expect them to publish before they graduate. So that's sort of the, general timeline and overall requirements.
Great, thanks. I'm going to hop in here. Again, my name is Ashley Brown. She, her is Assistant Dean of Students for the PhD program. And I'm just going to share a little bit about the financial supports that we offer our doctoral students here at Crown. So our PhD students, they're all full-time students. And currently they receive an annual stipend of $37,000 a year. This stipend could increase year by year. We usually find out towards the spring quarter of each year what that next rate will be. So we don't quite know what that will be next year, but just for you to know, it will never decrease. So it would be either $37,000 or above that amount. And the stipend is divided into monthly payments. So that $37,000 divided by 12 is how students receive their stipend payment. Our PhD students do receive both tuition and fee coverage. The tuition coverage is for autumn, winter, and spring quarters. We are on the quarter system at UChicago. Our doc students do not take courses during the summer, so they don't have tuition support over the summer term. But students receive an annual individual premium health insurance coverage, and that is for the full year, even during summer when they're not enrolled. So the full year for insurance. There's a couple other financial supports that I wanted to cover. We offer financial support up to $750, depending on fund availability, for presenting at a conference, and students can take advantage of that up to 2 times per each academic year that they're here. We also have funds available for students to apply if they're interested in attending a research methods training that's not available here at University of Chicago. If they find something elsewhere, we'll help support that. And once students are more advanced in their time here, there are dissertation research funds available here at Crown as well. And then we also offer support and different resources in trying to help students find other funding opportunities too. And the last thing I want to share here is related to when students are admitted to our doctoral program. We provide relocation support for our incoming cohort of students. So students who live further than 100 miles of Chicago at the time of their move, they'll receive a non-renewable relocation award. And we have a rubric for this. So the funding amount really depends on the student's distance from Chicago. So depending on the distance, students can receive between $500 to $2,000 to relocate here. So I'll be here still for the rest of the webinar. Please feel free to ask questions in the chat. I'll check that out in a moment. And I'm going to pass it back to Ron Martin, who's going to talk a bit about the application process.
Great, thanks, Ashley. So our application is an online application, and here you'll see the link to the application procedures, which will also, excuse me, include a list of the requirements. And so what are the requirements? Yoonsun's going to talk a little bit more about what the committee might be looking for. So really, I just kind of want to talk about the actual specific items that are part of the application. So first, the candidate statement, 4-page statement, as well as the comprehensive resume or CV. We also ask for an academic writing sample of 20 pages, 25 pages at most. If it's a published paper, really, you should be the first author. One common question is, can I go above or beyond 25 pages? You could, but really the faculty is going to basically the reviewer will read up to about 25 pages. So anything beyond that, you would want to sort of curtail that and just stick with the 25 pages. If you have multiple submissions, they could equal up to 25 pages. But again, a single writing sample is usually what is preferred. But again, Yoonsun can talk a little bit more about the specifics about what the committee is looking for and what a good writing sample might look like. The academic transcripts. So we would like to have copies, and you can submit photocopies and you can upload them within the application itself, as you would do with the candidate statement, the resume, and the writing sample. All those items you can upload directly into the application itself prior to submission. We would want to have the academic transcripts for both your bachelor's and your master's degrees. Now, obviously, some of you may be in the process of completing the master's degree. So the transcript with your most recent, obviously, it's December 1st deadline. So you may not have the most recent, this fall semester if you're in classes currently. But what you have so far, you can upload that as a copy. Later on, for those students who are applicants who are admitted, we would then ask for the official copies then later at that point. We also ask for 4 letters of reference. And here we really want to see academic transcripts. It is a research-based program. It's very academic-based. So really thinking about who are the references, your recommenders, who can really speak to both your academic ability and also thinking about those who might be able to speak to your research ability. That's also important. And then the last piece here on this list, the GRE. So this year, the GRE will be optional. So if you have taken the GRE, you can submit the scores. If you're thinking maybe I want to, you can certainly submit them. But no one is required to submit the GREs. It does not disadvantage your application necessarily if you do not include them. So I want to make that clear. The last piece of the application to think about, there is a $75 application fee for our doctoral programs. Within the application itself, there is a link to request a hardship waiver. So you definitely can submit that. Those requests do go to an office that is outside of Crown, and they review those and they make the decision. I know that it may not be an immediate response. So if you are submitting that hardship waiver request form, do not pay the application fee at that time because it may take them some time to process it. The fee is non-refundable. So if you do pay it, then you've paid. So definitely if you are requesting that hardship, I just want to stress, do not submit a payment at that time. Okay, Yoonsun?
So typically this is the most sort of the slide that everybody's really looking, because you wanted to know what you need to do in application. So Ron, I listed the things that you do need to do, but it's not like everything counts or weight the same. Very important is the personal statement. It's really about who you are and your general research interest, your practice or research experience, what have motivated you and prepare you to pursue a doctorate degree. And there you also have a chance to sort of indicate who you want to work with. And if the description of the website was not exactly how you understood it, and if you mentioned some faculty who may not be a best fit to you, that's fine. I mean, you don't get dinged for naming the wrong person. What we're really interested in is who you are, what motivated you to do the work that you're interested in, and whether you're going to be really can be successful and thrive here. So personal statement is the most important piece, I will have to say. writing sample, Ron has indicated that, like, yes, you can put more than 25 pages, but really not. And I can't agree more. Like, you don't put in a, say, dissertation, like thesis. It's really like, sort of think about how many people actually have applied here, and then how many files that we have to read. The writing sample should really demonstrate your quality of writing. So as long as it shows clearly, the length itself is not a huge issue. Another thing is, some people ask whether or not they can submit a paper they were co-authored, they were second and third or later in the order, but they really put lots of work into it. I still would not submit that paper as a writing sample. As a reviewer, it's really hard to discern how much of is your work versus not. And typically the first author paper does tell us that you took the lead, write substantial amount in the paper. And some of the class papers you have written for classes, 4 years of the master's undergrad that have gotten good grades and you're so proud of, that could be a very good writing example. If it's directly related to what you wanted to study, that's great too. So again, what matters is the quality of the writing and your ability to think critically and analytically. So as long as the paper shows that, and then, like, so co-author papers that you're not the first author of, that will be really hard to discern from the paper. References, again, as Ron already spoke to this, that we do want references who can really comment on your research and academic abilities. Not that we are saying that you already have to have all the full research skills and experience all built up. That's not what we're asking, but somebody who can actually comment on your ability. Your friends can really tell you how great person you are, but that's not going to really help us to decide whether you're ready to take courses, and actually for a doctor program, whether or not you can actually build up your own independent sort of the course of program and research. So if the references can tell us that would be really great. So those are the really main the highlights that I wanted to share. And we totally invite you to look through the website to learn about who are the faculty's members are here at Crown and what they do. So please do take the time to sort of look through, because I think, especially for doctor program, the matching with the right person is so really critical and important. So we try to accept students sort of not for one faculty member, but like cluster of faculty, because people may be unavailable a certain year or may go on a sabbatical, so whatnot. So we do try to sort of create a cluster of faculty. And as you're reviewing the faculty and their area of interest, if you can specify some of the people, that'll be useful for us. And then, again, as I said earlier, it doesn't have to be precisely correct. And if there's a people that you may not see as the fit, but we may suggest to you. So again, you don't have to be all 100% correct, but you do need to sort of do your homework, learning about the faculty and what they do, and then whether you sort of see yourself fit here as well. And this you will see that we have a whole range of research interest. Interdisciplinary, we have a very diverse, like faculty from diverse disciplinary backgrounds. We use multiple, different methods. Quite exciting place. So take a look and then see, who excites you the most. And so we have invited our students to share their experiences here, like why did they come, how did they work, and so we have some of the photos of our recent and some are not that recent students, and we have our students here, and I'm going to pass that to you all. Melanie and Linyun.
A preference of who goes first? We didn't plan that part.
Melanie, would you like to go first?
Sure, I'll go first. Hi, folks. My name is Melanie Naden. I am a PhD candidate here. I'm in my 5th year. I've been here a hot minute now. I am working on hopefully graduating this year. And I decided to come to Crown, I think, for 3 big reasons. The first was that I was advised to really think about programs where there was multiple people I could work with if somebody leaves or retires. If your research interests change, and Crown was the place where I felt like there was somebody that I could work with, even if like the worst case scenario happened and more than one person left and my research interest changed a lot, there was somebody that I could see myself landing with kind of in every scenario. And that's been great. Related to that, I think the way that we fund student research assistantships was a big draw. At a lot of schools, student research assistantships are funded by the faculty member, and they're funded by grants specifically, and you are often admitted to work with somebody who has money for you. And at Crown, that's not the case. And so I really liked that I had the ability to work with whoever I wanted, and it didn't matter what their funding situation was. And then related to that, I think the third reason I chose to come here was the funding package was really comprehensive, and just the amount wise, it was better than everywhere else. We get paid pretty well here. So that was a big draw. My work really focuses on child and family policy and poverty. I'm interested in broadly the relationship between poverty and the child welfare system. I have a background in public policy, actually not social work, but child welfare, I think, really pulled me into the social work space. And I'm planning to follow an academic career. I'm looking for tenure track jobs.
So let's go sort of by who's been here longer. So like Melanie and then Linyun.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Linyun Fu. I'm the 3rd year PhD student at Crown. I'm originally from China, so I'm an international student here. So there are several actual reasons why I chose Crown. So I did get accepted by multiple social work schools at the time. I got accepted also by Crown. So I think there's several reasons like draw me into Crown. The first one, I think definitely Chicago is like one of the best university in this country, and also Crown really top 3 social work school also in this country. Like the reputation, definitely the best university always offers like best opportunities for us. So I think there's a lot, not only like even academically, we are allowed to like choose class. We can select class. Actually, we can take class actually not only within our own department. We are allowed to take class in other department at Chicago, and also we have that I think a big 8 academic alliance program, so which allows us to take classes actually in other university at Chicago, such as Northwestern University and also USC. Actually, for me, I also explored another program. It's called like Ivy Plus Exchange Program. Actually, I did 1 quarter exchange at Stanford University, which has been also a great experience for me. Actually, basically for that program allows you to go to any Ivy school if you want to go to. So I think that's first reason. I think definitely the best university always offers the best opportunity for us. And the second reason, I think that definitely the most competitive funding package, right? If you do a comparison, right, with other social work school, you will say, I think Crown definitely provided the most competitive funding package. So many other social school only offer like 4-year or at most 5-year funding package. I think we offer the most generous and also long time. This definitely makes me feel more like a financial secure, which is more important. It's like give me some kind of emotional support at the same time. It's a kind of financial security. And also there are like multiple, I think there are also different like internal funding opportunity we can apply for, especially for me as an international student. I'm not allowed, I'm kind of limited to only apply for many like internal funding, not like external funding for my dissertation, but at Crown, we have our own dissertation grant, so we can apply for. And there's like, because I'm doing research, actually, my research interests are like focusing on improving rural children in China, to like their mental health, school-based mental health program. So I will also be able to apply for like grants through the East Asian Center, actually at Chicago. So there are different like internal funding opportunity. I think that's which has been also very, very helpful for me. And I'm also the third reason, I think the whole environment here is really, really friendly and also supportive. I got a lot of like a peer support from my cohort, and also the whole PhD program, I think it's really supportive. As a Professor Choi and also actually are also super supportive. And whenever you have anything, you can always reach out to them and get your problem resolved. So this kind of supportive environment is really important. Like I really appreciate. Yeah, for my career goal, I also want to seek like a tenure track faculty position in a university. So yeah, so that's my experience. So I will also leave my my email address in this chat if you have any question or you want to discuss more about your like a personal like PhD application with me. You can also email me. I can also talk with you about that. Okay, thank you.
Great to hear. Clarice?
Hi, everyone. My name is Clarice Robinson, pronoun she, her. I am a second year in the AM PhD program. So last year in the master's, second year in the PhD. I chose Crown because there was quite a few faculty that I was interested in learning from and working with. I had conversations with about 4 faculty members in the process of applying, and all of those conversations just reaffirmed that this could be a place where I could really flourish. I also just happened to know someone who was Durrell, is his name, who worked at a similar lab that I was leaving the lab that he was coming into, or vice versa, sorry. So he spoke really highly of Crown, and he's done amazing here. So that was helpful, as well as I moved to Chicago from New York City. So I was really looking, if I was going to leave New York City, I wanted to be at a place that affirmed my identity as a Black woman, and I wanted to be in another city. So those are like kind of the main reasons why I am here at the University of Chicago. So my research interest, I'm particularly interested in surveillance and police presence in schools, and specifically the ways punitive interactions generated by police might hijack the nervous systems of adolescents and create like these embodied traumatic experiences. I'm also interested in juvenile justice education, or the juvenile justice system rather, and how education and social work might support people, kids who are already involved in the criminal or the juvenile justice system. And let's see. Oh, and career-wise, so I'm also interested in a tenure track position once I finish here, and ideally in like a social work school that has a strong public health program as well.
Great. We have our students PR team here. So we have 2 faculty who generously agreed to come and talk to you guys. And we have Professor Summerson Carr and Aaron Gottlieb. Professor Carr has been here for a while with me, and Professor Gottlieb is our relatively newer faculty, and we'll give them the floor to talk about what they do in their research and how they work with the doctoral students. Summerson, you want to go first?
I'll jump in here. Hi, everyone. Great to see so many people have joined us. My name is Summerson Carr. I'm both an anthropologist and a social work scholar by training. And I'm duly appointed in the Department of Anthropology in the Crown School, where I've been on the faculty since 2004. So I've had many wonderful and varied experiences working with doctoral students. To give you a sense of what those kinds of experiences have looked like, let me just tell you a little bit about my research. So I think I'm probably best described as an anthropologist of social work. That really means I've spent my career following social workers and clients and conducting firsthand observations of their interactions in a variety of organizational settings. So my first full-scale ethnographic project was of a drug treatment program. I just completed a book on the rise and spread of motivational interviewing, which began as a treatment for problem drinking and has since spread to a variety of fields, including corrections, education, dentistry, primary health, medicine, sanitation, a whole variety of fields. And I'm just actually author of full-year research sabbatical where I've been studying the entry of dogs into human service work. So I've been following a set of facility dogs who are dogs that are trained for 2 years to engage in full-time human service work for a contractual tenure of 8 years. So I'm interested in a variety of questions, like what does the entry of dogs say, if anything, about the perceived gaps in human services, including our capacity to care for one another as humans. What's it like to work with a dog? Do social workers feel kind of buoyed or enervated by the fact that some of their care work is being taken over by dogs? And what about the dogs' work themselves, which is, after all, unpaid and arguably unfree? So what are the ethical implications of putting dogs to work in human service settings? So those are the kinds of projects I've been involved with, and my interaction with doctoral students has really been incredibly wonderful for my work. I feel that my work has been strengthened by the ways that I've interacted with doctoral students, either whether I'm working with them in the field. So I have gotten students engaged in participant observation and interviewing and so forth, collecting ethnographic data. I've also had students on the other side of my work doing background research for books, writing articles with students sometimes that is based on that research. So I've really had this really wonderful range of experiences with doctoral students really since I've been on the faculty.
Awesome. And Summerson had a great second book just came out. And so students are sort of all involved in multiple phases of faculty research. So Aaron, do you want to take it?
Yeah, so I'm Aaron Gottlieb. I'm an assistant professor here at Crown. As Yoonsun mentioned, I've been here, I'm relatively new. And yeah, welcome. I'm really excited to see so many faces. So my work really focuses on the structural factors that lead people into the criminal legal system, the implications of that contact, and then sort of the effects of different reform efforts and sort of trying to figure out how we move forward. So some of my work has looked at, for instance, and I generally use quantitative methods to analyze these things. So in one paper, I examined how the legacy of slavery shapes criminal sentencing outcomes today. So in short, what I found was that if you look at a county, the share of the population that was enslaved in 1860 today actually predicts how harshly they punish people today who are charged with crimes. So I documented that quantitatively. I'm also I'm the PI of the Resource Reallocation Lab, and what we're doing there is we are collecting data on the 50 largest counties in the Great Lakes region. We're looking at how all the governments within those counties, and there are a lot of them, thousands, how they spend their resources. And really what we're trying to see is how much of those resources are spent on the criminal legal system compared to other things like housing, education, health, etc. With the aim being to look at what the implications of those decisions are for outcomes we care about, starting with things like crime, but also looking at public health outcomes and other outcomes, community outcomes as well. So that's some of the work I do. In terms of working with doctoral students, well, one thing I do, I teach the first part of the statistics sequence that you'd be taking. And it's a really applied class, and part of the sequence is developing a research proposal or a research paper that you actually write with the aim of being able, a quantitative paper that with the aim of being able to submit it. I'm actually working with some of the students from that class to help them submit it now. So we're working on that. I've also, and they're leading that paper, but I'm just providing support. I also like to write articles with students, and I view that as a collaborative experience. So currently I have a paper with a student that's under review, and that we co-presented at the Law and Society Association conference. Yeah, and I really believe that in these sort of relationships, especially given kind of where people are at in their career, not only is it critical like to get experience, but it's also critical to get publication. So I really believe in co-authoring with students. Outside of that, another thing I sort of do somewhat informally is I provide, like when I often help students when they're doing their own research, think about quantitative methods and how to use them to kind of best answer the questions they're working on. So that's just a bit about me.
So I could not think of any better combination of the two faculty who really represent the range of faculty here at Crown. Still, both of them, like Summerson as well as Aaron, they both are known to like be a great mentor for doctoral students. And Aaron, I have to stop him from like sort of the don't give too much time working with the students. Stop. So I think we have really great bunch on campus. I mean, at school, and you know, we have a whole collage of photos, and like mine is like 15 years old. So some of you see them and then like would not recognize the faculty, but it really represents the sort of the different area of interest, different methods. And generally speaking, I think it's very safe to say for me to say that we have very nice group of mentors here. So I'm very proud to present our faculty here to those who attended. So some of the tips, if you will, in terms of reaching out to faculty, many of you are encouraged to reach out, but faculty's life is way more complicated and sort of very intense, more than you think. So if you don't get response, don't take it personal. Each faculty may get tons of such emails, but you know, it's okay also to nudge a little bit and then ask for questions. But again, you know, even if you don't have the sort of chance to talk to them before you apply, it's not the end of the world. But you're encouraged to contact. And you cannot ask faculty to review your materials. That's no. That's like absolutely no. And some of the tips when you do have like, you know, have a chance to talk to the faculty members here, it's always better to have a little more specific question than sort of the wide open questions, such as like, tell me about your career path. That will take an hour just to answer the questions. And then what is your research? As you said, I mean, as you can tell that we do a lot of research, and if you, that's sort of the open question is really hard to answer. Instead, the good question will be like, what is your current project? And often people do end up talking about like what the trajectory has been, but that's much more specific and useful. Or that, you know, you can ask, do you anticipate involving some of the doctoral students in your new project, and in what capacity? So, you know, those are, I mean, much better questions. So you're welcome to ask those questions when you reach out to faculty. And Ron, do you want to remind the timeline? Do you want me to finish either way?
You know, you can go ahead. It's
Okay.
all straightforward. It's right there.
It's right here. In terms of application deadline, it's not actually December 1st, it's December 4th, because I think December 1st is what, Friday? So it'll be due on Monday, 4th of December. And we will review, actually, both professors who share their experience here are on the committee. So we're all going to review your application. And then that sort of starts as soon as you send in and until like we make the final decision. And during those times, do not ask like, what's the status? We can't tell you. And we aim to announce the decisions by mid-February because we will be hosting the visit day, sort of the virtual visit day on the last Monday of February for all admitted students. So that's the schedule. So we certainly wanted to know who we want to invite, right? So we will have the decision made by mid-February. So this is what we have for today, and I would like to open up for questions if you have any. From the audience. Yes, Julia. Julio.
Hello, good afternoon. My question is geared towards publications. How many publications do students usually publish during their time at Crown?
So that really would vary. Like I know it's kind of sort of there might be not the answer you wanted to have like a concrete numbers, but we don't have the numbers. Because depending on the area of interest and then also the where the faculty is of that particular person that you work with in their career, there might be on the sort of stage of say collecting the data, then maybe less publication versus maybe they're also in the phase of their career, they're publishing quite a bit, but and at the same time co-author with the students and then public health versus some other areas, it takes many more years to really produce a publication. So we, as I said, our faculty has a whole range of disciplines and methods. So some people will say produce books instead of like, say articles. And even within the articles, some fields have a shorter paper than longer papers. So it's really hard to sort of determine what number is going to be. But generally speaking, we have more student co-authored papers sort of coming out than in the past. That I can tell you.
Good to know. Thank you, Dr. Choi.
I would also just quickly add, if it's okay.
Sure, of course.
Like I think we're also trying to, with kind of our stat sequence, provide you with an opportunity to have a first authored publication that you get a lot of feedback on from multiple faculty, but that you and perhaps a colleague are leading. So that's another way, in addition to like collaborating with faculty directly on some of their work, that's something we're trying to prioritize to kind of get you some of that experience in that kind of first authored publication as well.
Good to know. Thank you.
Yeah. And maybe I'll just jump in here and underscore part of what Yoonsun said, which is, or Dr. Choi, that, this is absolutely wonderful that students have, I think, a huge number of possibilities to co-author. And this is a great new opportunity in the stats sequence. It really does not make sense, though, for some other students, depending on their trajectory, to be, just because of the nature of the kind of work they're doing, to be co-authoring multiple papers, or, so they might have one paper coming out that's based on, original data collection that's taken, a year and a half or something of their own, and that's considered also okay. So we are a really interdisciplinary faculty, and we value that greatly. And so there's not a one size fits all in terms of how many publications or what a good dissertation looks like. A good dissertation can look like many things. They're always good at Crown, but they look different from each other.
Thank you.
And before we get to Manuel, there's a question in the chat from Sophia. So let me address those questions first. So first question, as you see, there's a personal statement. It would be helpful to specify a particular center. You don't have to, but if you have worked in one of the centers on campus, you're welcome to describe. If a student has connected with a few research analysts, name them, probably not really relevant for us, because we would connect you with the faculty here as the mentor team. But again, you're welcome to describe the group that you work with and what you did and how you did it and how that will sort of lead to your current research, so the area of interest. And Any sort of comments on how much of lived experience we should and should not include? If it's relevant to your research questions, go for it. You don't want to write a diary, for sure. We wanted to see why you're interested and what you're interested in given your life experience. Of course, that's relevant. So, but then if it's completely disconnected, then maybe not. So see the relevance and access it that way. And if you have or currently holds Crown's MSW, do not apply to AM PhD because that AM is Crown AM and Crown AM is MSW. So that's double dipping, and you don't want another degree when you have one already. And if you have a degree from a foreign country, do you have a preferred platform for grade conversion? Typically, we can't read other universities, the grade. So, and the university usually describe what they mean by what grade. So that's okay, regardless of what school that you want. Just have, I'm gonna submit the copy. If not, I mean, you will be required to submit the official copy anyway. So I think it was Manuel who had a question earlier.
Yes.
Yes, welcome to ask.
Yeah, thanks. So I am currently in my second year in an MSW program at a high university, and I'm interested in applying, but I may not have my full transcript available by the time, December when I apply, because I'll graduate in May 2024. So I was wondering if the partial transcript of just my first year, then my undergrad, like attaching that in my undergrad, will be acceptable for consideration.
So I would provide any transcript up to the point of application, provide them all, and then you will be asked to provide official ones, regardless whether you, like, you know, you have to decide whether you come or not when you're admitted by April 15th. And if you're graduating, say, in May, you may not have the full transcript, and that's fine. So we will decide based on whatever the information we have. And any other questions? Let's see. Okay. So we rarely give waive you out of classes. 15 course credit is what's expected. Say, for instance, you're required to take 2 stats, right? You're required to take 5 method class and 2 of them has to be statistics. If you have taken stats before, you can take advanced stats. You can't waive out of stats. So we are always here to help you to sort of get more, not less. Anybody else? I'm reading chat and I'm like looking at you too.
Question about the application fee waiver. So I mentioned this earlier, but for those of you maybe who came in a little later, there is an application fee waiver request form that is within the application. And so all applicants are welcome to submit that. Just as a part of process, it does go to an office that is outside of Crown, and they take the time to sort of review the request. And so they will then get back to each individual requester. So one thing I definitely want to stress is that if you are requesting a fee waiver, do not pay the fee at that time. So you can submit your application without the fee. So yes, there is the opportunity to request an application fee waiver, and like I say, is granted by an office outside of Crown.
Sophia?
Oh, hi, sorry for sending so much questions in the chat, and thank you for
We welcome questions. This is the place of inquiry. Questions.
Just another quick follow-up question, actually 2. One is, I wonder, like, how often do students work cross research lab or like cross faculty with different area of expertise once they're admitted? And the second question is more person specific. I want to clarify, sorry, I didn't clarify in the chat, the question about if someone currently very gratefully holds MSW offer, so like offer but not a degree from Crown, like, do you recommend then we apply for AM PhD or PhD? Like, can you do both? They're like, I don't really know. Or is that like irrelevant? I'm just trying to.
But if you have an MSW,
Well, it's just the admission offer, so it's not like you already have
That's admission offers, that doesn't count, sorry. If you have a degree, then do not apply to AM PhD. Are you saying that you have master's offer from Crown?
Yeah, I have master from somewhere else, but I also defer my Crown MSW offer and I do want license.
I see. You know, if you're interested in license, I actually would recommend you to apply to master's first, not AM PhD program. As I said, AM PhD is highly competitive. We may have one or two sort of spots each year. So if you are interested in licensure, I would actually go with the master's degree. And your first question is a good one, and I think a lot of people do ask, and we have quite flexible sort of approach. But students do, like, you know, depending on their style, some of the students would come and then they wanted to know, they know who they want to work with, and then they stick with that person and then just move on, and that's great too. And there's some students, especially first 2 years, where you can work with the faculty without, regardless of the faculty's funding conditions or situations. You might want to work with one person first year and the second in the second year, and that's totally fine too. But what we don't want is the students sort of the hopping around and not sort of the getting lost. Because I think doctor program is all about like create and proceed with your clear program of research. So if working with a multiple person is to really build a foundation for you to proceed, that's great. But it's not like you're not sure, so you're going to work here, work there. That's may not be a good thing. And you can still do the exploration, but you can sort of work across different faculty on, you know, some of the interrelated areas. Okay, so sorry, I can't really say your name right. Maybe you can introduce yourself. Abdul Ghaffar, you're muted. Can you unmute before you talk?
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
I'm happy to be on this section with you today. My name is Abdulgafar Olavede Habidemi. I'm from Nigeria. I'm an applicant for your PhD program, and I've already submitted my application. I would like to know that I would like to know the acceptance rates at your university. Acceptance rates at your university. And secondly, I would like to know that being an applicant from international country like Nigeria, does having a master's degree in social work in my application, does it have a weight in my application? Well, thank you very much.
So first, we have students from African countries, I think Ghana and Nigeria and many countries, I mean, not many countries, some Asian countries and European countries. So we have quite a global sort of body of students. And some have gotten their degree in their country of origin versus not. And, you know, it depends on the sort of the, what classes you have taken and then, you know, that sort of things. Not like, because you're coming from this country, it doesn't count or whatever. We do all pay attention to each individual cases. In terms of acceptance rate, all I can tell you at this point is highly competitive. We have sort of get the number of enrollment around like early January. It depends on how many students also graduate. So that the acceptance rate would vary from year to year, but we typically have students, I mean, we've been sort of accepting students anywhere between 8 and like 10. I think that's pretty safe. It can go a little bit lower to 7 or not. But application has ranged from, in recent years, 130 to 160 something. So it is very competitive process, that I can tell.
Yeah, that's correct. The applications the last few years have been about 130 to 160. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful.
Anything else? I think we're almost sort of at the time. So what I would encourage with all this who have came today, if there's any remaining questions, feel free to reach out back to us. Ashley is like Awesome. I can answer any of the questions that you might have. And depending on the question that I might sort of refer you to Ron and other folks. So, or that I may recommend a couple of faculty for you to reach out to. And so we will do whatever we can help you. And our students have provided their email. So sometimes it's the best way, best sort of source of information is the fellow students. That will tell you all about the program. Even the ones that they could not say today, probably on the screen. So again, it was good to see you all, and thank you so much for coming, and hope to see your application.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.